I told you I didn't do it.
We guarded him all night.
That's right, he couldn't have done it. There's no way he could have gotten out of his room without us knowing it.
Except for the window.
What?
Nothing.
That only proves he didn't kill anyone last night. It doesn't prove he didn't kill John Doe, or that stranger we found in the hallway.
Are you always contrary? Whether we find Pinhead standing over a body, obviously guilty, or locked in his room, obviously innocent, you always say that doesn't prove anything.
Well, it doesn't.
How is our Mr. X doing? Any change?
No change. He's still unconscious and really pale. I don't think he's doing well at all.
This is just horrible. 4 attacks, 3 dead people. I'm never going to get all the bloodstains off the floors.
Is that all you ever think about? Cleaning?
Sorry.
Poor Cyan. That must have been awful. Going back to your room and finding Andy lying there dead.
It must have been awful, just having him in your room.
That wasn't very nice. Grow up.
Sorry. Look, as long as we're all here together, I think we should try to figure this out. Anyone opposed to that?
If we objected, we'd look sort of guilty, wouldn't we?
Perhaps, but it wouldn't prove anything.
You did it again.
Sorry.
A capital idea, though. Please proceed.
First, I should remind you that my law practice is business and finance, not murder cases. With that out of the way, let's start with the basics. We have 4 victims, 3 of them dead. Friday night, about midnight, we find John Doe, dead with a knife in his back. Then, about 10:30 Saturday night, we discover Mr. X, with a knife in his back, critically wounded.
We found Pinhead standing over John's body.
And over Mr. X too. But that doesn't prove... Okay, I admit that's very incriminating, but until the knife is dusted for prints...
That doesn't prove anything.
Uh-oh.
What?
I washed them. I washed all the knives.
Oh, you stupid woman.
Stupid woman.
For Pete's sakes.
Please try not to do that again.
Again? Are you expecting more murders?
Moving right along. I think we've pretty much gone over the first 2 already, so let's focus on the last 2.
I heard Cyan screaming in her room.
Wouldn't be the first time.
You grow up too, young lady.
It was horrible. I had just gone down to the kitchen to get a sandwich.
That seems to be a recurring theme lately.
Worked up an appetite, did you?
Shut up.
What is it with sandwiches and stabbings?
I got back to the room and found Andy sprawled on the floor with a knife in his back. That's when I screamed.
She screamed all right, loud enough to wake the... well, really loud.
That's right. That's when we all came running to see what happened.
Everyone except Miss Tissel.
And me. I was still locked in my room.
It looked like Andy landed on the bed first, and then slid down to the floor.
Yeah, the sheets were all bloody too.
Oh, Connie, you didn't...
Wash the sheets? Of course. Oh, sorry.
When I noticed Miss Tessel wasn't there, I thought she should know what's going on. So I crossed the hall to get her. That's when I found her dead on her bed with her shawl still wrapped around her neck.
We know that, Sherlock. But who did it?
Let's see who we can eliminate. This happened around 1:30 in the morning, about 3 hours after we found Mr. X. We know Pinhead didn't kill either Andrew or Miss Tissel, since he was locked in his room. We also know Mr. X didn't kill them, since he was unconscious.
But Mr. X could have killed John Doe.
True. Chef, you and the General were guarding Pinhead. Were you both together the whole time?
Yes, we were, other than when we each took a quick bathroom break. But we were together at least a whole hour before Cyan screamed.
Okay, I think we can cross you two off the list. Connie, you and Winthrop were watching over Mr. X at the time, right?
Right. We were in each other's sight the whole time.
Except for a trip to the bathroom. Oh, and when I went to the kitchen to grab a cola from the fridge. But I didn't make a sandwich.
Maybe you didn't, but I remember Cyan saying she did, and she was with Andrew last night.
Would you quit calling him Andrew? He hated that. It's Andy. Yes, I was with him last night. I was scared, and I had every right to be. And yes, I got hungry and went to get a sandwich. That's not a crime. Besides, I wasn't the only one in the kitchen. Lady Renee was there too.
That's right. I wasn't making a sandwich, but I couldn't sleep, so I went to get a glass of milk. Cyan and I talked for about half an hour before she went back to her room, and that's when we all heard her scream.
Okay, so you two have alibis since you can vouch for each other. That leaves myself, Professor Coons, and Digit. Digit?
I was sleeping, alone, unlike some people. I didn't go to the kitchen, and I did not make a sandwich.
But you are the butler. A butler with no alibi.
And a motive? I'm sure everyone remembers that if all the inheritors are gone, the staff gets the money, and all three of the dead people were inheritors.
I'm not a murderer. What about Graves? Where were you last night?
I was with the Professor in the study. We were going over his financial affairs.
The Professor in the study? Did you have a candlestick? Or a lead pipe?
Really now, please try to be serious.
Mr. Graves spoke truthfully. I have some messy tax stuff to sort with my research and how it's funded. We were going over legal documents for at least 2 hours prior to Cyan screaming.
In addition to that, I don't have a motive. I'm simply paid to faithfully execute the last will and testament of Mr. Blackthorne. I get paid the same regardless of who gets the money. If there are no remaining inheritors, I'm afraid the estate simply goes to the state to be auctioned off.
So where does that leave us?
For John Doe and Mr. X, I think we all had equal opportunity, and we were all alone at the time, so we can't eliminate any suspects. But in both cases, Pinhead was found in a very incriminating situation. For the murders of Andrew and Miss Tissel, Pinhead and Mr. X have genuine alibis. Almost everyone else was in pairs. General Titus and Chef, Connie and Winthrop, Renee and Cyan, myself and the Professor. That leaves Digit. I'm sorry, Digit, but you are the only person with both the opportunity and the motive.
Doesn't feel so good, does it, Digit?
Unless...
What?
What if...
What? Aliens? The government? We don't have a grassy knoll here.
But what if there was someone else?
What?
What?
We didn't know Mr. X was here until we found him in the hallway. What if there's someone else lurking about?
That is a really creepy thought.
Speaking of Mr. X, isn't it about time someone checks on him again? I'll go watch him. I haven't had a shift with him yet.
Good idea. Who do you want with you?
I'll take Pinhead. I'm not afraid of him. I can watch him and Mr. X at the same time.
What should we do about Digit?
I'll stick with Digit. Nobody should be alone, so let's always stay in groups of 2 or more, okay? Professor, if you want to take responsibility for Pinhead, that's fine by me. We've been doing 3-hour shifts. You two go, and we'll figure out who's going to relieve you.
You know who he is, don't you?
What?
You heard me, and it wasn't a question. You do know who he is, don't you? Look, I saw how distressed you were when you were kneeling by him in the hallway. I can see it on your face now, too. You didn't stab him.
You believe me?
I'm not a fool, Pinhead. I also saw this man slip something into your pocket when he was trying to say something to you. To you. Admit it, you know who he is, don't you?
Yes, it's true. I know who he is. Viking. His name is Viking.
What's he doing here?
When I was locked in my room after Doe's murder, I told him about my situation, and he came to help me. He's my best friend. Look at him now. Some friend I am.
Don't lie to me. There is no way to contact him.
I have a satellite phone in my suitcase.
You have a phone that works?
I did, but the battery died, and my charger's at home.
But how'd he get here?
He's quite resourceful. He's a detective, and he came by parachute.
Resourceful is an understatement. This is military-grade equipment. So, he was only here because you called him to get you out of a jam? No other reason?
What other reason could there be? And why would you care?
Why do I care? Because I am the one who stabbed him.